tree. I like tier lists and I'm gonna share it with thee. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What it be? What it do? It is your boy, Keen Decker. Back at it again. We're gonna be doing a little bit of tier list action today. Here we got Michael to explain why exactly the picks that I have on this list today are extremely based and correct, and some of the greatest games that have ever existed.
Yes, I will definitely do that, especially if he has wrong opinions.
Yeah, let me share my screen with you. Here we go. All right. Oh wait, I have to post the stream. I have to post stream. Copy. And the pasta. Ranking my favorite games of all time. This is the top 40 list, chat. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the top 40 list that have made Keen Decker's favorite games of all time list. All right. So here we are. We're starting off with I'm gonna place them first of all, and then we will rearrange them based on. But I'm gonna put them in the 1 to 10 tier, the 11 to 20 tier. We'll figure out where we move them kind of from there, because there's a lot of really, really good games, and I actually haven't gone through every single one of them to think exactly where I would place them. So basically, Fire Emblem and Tomb Raider plus 3 games. Okay. No. Falls. We start off with Tomb Raider 2. Tomb Raider 2 is, okay, so originally Tomb Raider 1 was like an instant classic, and people, it's very, very beloved by everybody, every single person in the franchise. Every fan who you talk to about like Tomb Raider, who first started playing Tomb Raider, always talk about Tomb Raider 1. But my argument is that Tomb Raider 2 does Tomb Raider 1 better, is prettier, has better puzzles, has better map making, and is more interesting like mechanics-wise. Tomb Raider 2 is, it was the beginning of like, hey, Tomb Raider can be a little bit zany, and it can get away with it, and it's fucking, there's no other platformer ever that will be like Tomb Raider. And it shows in the early Tomb Raider games. Tomb Raider 2, for now, I'm going to put. This is my of all the top Tomb Raider games that I have in here. I'm gonna say it's the lowest. For now, I'm gonna put it in here. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Okay, this was the first JRPG that I had kind of ever really played. I shouldn't say ever played, but this is the first one that I in depth really wanted to play over and over and over again. This is when we had our first system, the GameCube, at our house. I played the absolute living piss out of this game because I thought it was so good. And still, to this day, this game is actually very, very fun, very engaging. It has some of that old school Fire Emblem writing to it, which isn't as kind of in depth as some of other Fire Emblem games. But Ike is a ridiculously unforgettable character. The Grial Mercenary is forever live rent free in my head. And the storytelling in Path of Radiance / Radiant Dawn is, oh man, what an adventure. However, I do not like it as much as Radiant Dawn. Like that Path of Radiant didn't have the typical you're a lord. Yeah, you started as a mercenary, it was your first day on the mercenary job too, you know what I mean? Ike was a young kid, and Grial's all right, you're coming to be a young man, and we're going to assign you to the Grial Mercenaries. He very, very hesitantly does it, and he's all right, you guys need to train him though. And he talks to Oscar and Boyd. He's bro, you gotta be able to train this guy because I do not want my son dying. When Ike was a young boy, his father, rest in peace, which is also another really great scene. Not for nothing, if you haven't played Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, I don't give a fuck about spoilers anymore. This game is ancient. You have the mission where your father dies, and that cutscene still, like, I know the cutscenes look pretty bad nowadays, but man, that I was like heartbroken when that happened. I think that was probably the best parent death that I'd played in a Fire Emblem game, I would say.
As someone that has only played 3 houses, I'll say, yes, gang. Path to Radiant is so good.
I think for now I'm gonna put it right here, 21 to 30, somewhere in that range, probably. We move on to is this? Hold on, I want to make sure that this is Birth by Sleep, right? And not Kingdom Hearts 2. Yeah. Kingdom Hearts covers all look the same because they always have like Mickey doing some ridiculous shit in the background. But this is Birth by Sleep. Birth by Sleep is low key. It is prime writing. Okay, it is prime writing for Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is notorious for having some of the shitty. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it like that. Some of the goofiest fucking writing I have ever seen. Yeah, I mean, there's something splendid about having like Disney characters in like a JRPG kind of setting, and it's very lighthearted for the most part. But then there's like some really cool elements as well in Kingdom Hearts games, and some really good moments. Birth by Sleep has pretty much as little to do with Disney as possible. This is just like pure. They didn't even have to bring this game out. This is like, hey, here's Kingdom Hearts 1, here's Kingdom Hearts 2, here's like the Kingdom Hearts kind of setting as it is. They're like, let's make a completely different story that has kind of nothing to do immediately with Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 until you get further into the series. And it's so good. Dude, Terra, Aqua, Ven, like all these characters were so fun to play through. You get to play through every single one of their side paths to get to the ending, and you get like different endings based on what the characters are doing at that time. The only thing I would say that is a drawback for Birth by Sleep is the fact that you had to play on the PSP. And let's be honest,
True.
I love the PSP, but that fucking system was so impractical. I loved it. I really did love it, but it was super impractical. That being said, I'm going to stick this probably right in around here for now.
Remember though, for however bad the PSP could be at times, the PS Vita is infinitely worse.
Very
I
true.
would die on that hill.
Yeah, that is very true. Michael, have you ever played Metroid Other M?
I remember my older brother, who's like a massive Metroid head, sitting me down, like anytime he had to watch me, and like legitimately made me play, I think, every fucking Metroid game whenever I was really little. So, I'm pretty sure I played it. I don't know which one it is.
So Metroid Other M is... I'm going to get a lot of probably hate for this game. I fucking love this game. This is the only Metroid game on my top 40 list. It's hard because I really like a lot of Metroid games, but Metroid Other M is so vastly different from every other Metroid, and I think it excels very well. The only thing that I will say that pushes this game a little bit back is the fact that they kind of limit you in certain areas as to like what you can do. It's a little bit more... It's a little bit too linear. Other Metroid games also do the same thing, but this one really excels at like, hey, Adam told you can't do that. Adam told you can't do this. You have the capability to now use your fire suit, Samus. Like, Adam has to tell you to do that, and you're like, okay, well, that's some bullshit. But this story, I think, has a... this game, I think, has a phenomenal story. I don't care what anybody says about Samus's character and PTSD from this story. Samus is 100,000 times a better character in this game than every single game in the franchise. And that's not me saying that, like, badass Samus isn't really badass and super cool, because I love, like, badass Samus. But this gets you to, like, the little bit more sentimental side of Samus, where she's like, oh, I had a lot of these things happen to me, and this is how I reflect on them. A lot of people hated it because they're like, oh, that's not how PTSD works. That's not how Samus is as a character. You made her a little bitch. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Okay? I've seen a lot of games, aka the later Tomb Raider games, that do it in a horrible way. horrible way. They made Lara Croft into like one of the worst, most unlikable characters in all the new Tomb Raider games. She's terrible. But Metroid Other M, I think, did a great job. I'm not really sure where I'm going to put this yet. I'm going to probably put it like right here for now.
After searching it, yeah, I remember it. I remember playing it on the Wii, so that may have changed my experience. However, I remember it being kind of like mindless fun. Albeit I was really young whenever I played it, because I think it came out whenever I was like 8. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember it just being fun.
Have you played Astral Chain? I don't think you've played a ton of Switch games.
No, pretty much only Switch game I played thus far is Three Houses.
Okay, got you. Astral Chain is a really cool game from... Is it Platinum? Is it Platinum? I can't remember what the studio is that actually made Astral Chain. They did a really cool job. This game has a very unique fighting style that is very hard to remember in terms of mapping-wise for your actual controller, but it does a very good job at, like, allocating everything that it needs to as it goes on, so it doesn't become, like, the most confusing thing ever. This game looks super, super dope. The combat is super dope. It has a pretty decent story. Has one of the... I will say has one of the cooler final bosses. I think final bosses are some of the hardest things to do in games. Astral Chain does a really good job with their final boss, I think. Sets up a really cool cinematic kind of situation. And yeah, I really, really liked Astral Chain. There's some characters that I literally could not stand. But however, it really didn't affect the gameplay all that much. I love the setting for Astral Chain, the kind of busy city. But this is like the final arc for like humanity type of thing. It's definitely, I would say, in the lower echelon of things. I'm gonna put it there for now. Sonic Heroes. All right, Michael, give me your best opinion on Sonic Heroes. What do you think about it? That's a good
So,
joke.
do you want my actual opinion on the Sonic franchise as a whole?
Yes.
There is not a more popular series in franchise like that is generally well regarded in some ways that I have never been more uninterested in my entire life.
I would agree for the most part.
Sonic Heroes, I saw some gameplay of it. Out of all the Sonic games, it looks like it's probably the best one, except for maybe like the original 2D scrollers.
I have a very, like, I don't know. I have an unpopular opinion when it comes to Sonic because I thought the 2D Sonic games were boring as hell. And
Hold right.
And to me, I don't like that type of gameplay for the most part. I don't like 2D side-scrolling platformer type of games. Very, very cool. And I think for what it's worth, those older games, much better just put together in general. But once Sonic hit 3D, it became janky. It became goofy as shit. And I loved every little minute of it, okay? Sonic is my favorite thing to shit on because, like, nothing in the Sonic universe or franchise should ever be taken seriously. None of these characters should ever be taken seriously.
Why do people take them seriously? Please tell me.
But
I keep seeing Sonic lore, Sonic power scaling. I don't care that Sonic can beat Superman. I give zero shits. Please stop.
The reason that I love it so much is because it's taken seriously in the writing, but it doesn't translate. There's always like these ridiculous things that happen in Sonic games, namely like Sonic 06. Sonic 06, I will say, a shout out. It's not on the list here, but a small shout out to Sonic 06. That game was horrible, but it had the best Dr. Eggman ever. That man was literally a dictator. He threatened to raise an entire city if they didn't give up like one specific princess. He's like, give her up or I'm gonna fucking blow up the entire city. I'm just gonna kill you all. And he just like says it flat out and then he leaves. And then he finally gets the girl and he starts talking to the girl on the StarCraft. I don't remember what he's asking from her. She has some secret power that like is going to help people. I don't know what it was that was so special about her, but he's like, hey, I need to use you for my evil purposes. And she's like, I would rather die. And he says, okay, go for it. And she attempts to commit suicide. Oh my god, dude. It's so good. But Sonic Heroes, the thing I love about Sonic Heroes is it has multiple stories for you to go through. The gameplay is really, really fun. And it's not ridiculously goofy. It kind of actually just works for the game. I think it's probably one of the best written Sonic games in terms of a story, whatever that means. Sonic Heroes is probably towards the lower part of this list.
Shout out to Sonic 06 for creating and spawning some of the most hilariously bad creepypastas I have ever read.
Mass Effect 1 and 2 are on there, but 3 isn't. I will explain.
Pokemon coming.
We got Spyro. Have you ever played Spyro? The original Spyro?
I have played the original Spyro. Basically, I had a friend in elementary school that had a fucking PS2 because his older brother had one. And I remember I basically straight up fucking used this dude because I would always try to go over to his house just to play his PS2. And then basically never hang out with him unless it was me getting to go over to his house to use his PS2.
Yeah. That is, it sometimes just really do be like that. For Spyro, for me, okay, so I will say that this game was my childhood. This game, along with like Medal of Honor, the original two like Medal of Honor games, I play this all the time on the PS1 when I went to my uncle's house, so I have extremely fond. This is much more nostalgic for me. Just like nice memories of spending time with my uncle and gaming. He would play Max Payne slash like the Hitman games on his PC, and I would play like Spyro on the PS1. And there's just certain sound effects. There's certain like levels from Spyro that will always just kind of stick with me. So it's very much so a nostalgia thing. Going back through, I would love to play it again, like the original version, not like an HD remake, because it just wouldn't hit the same. I'll probably put it somewhere. Yeah, I'll probably put it like here for now. Put it somewhere down there.
I think it also laid the groundworks for like a lot of games like it.
Yeah.
Like, I know that for a while, like, Skylanders were a big fucking thing, and I think it's pretty blatantly, the groundwork of Spyro.
It's oh, go ahead.
Things like that.
It's interesting to me because Spyro, like, it never really needed to be anything other than just a dragon trying to, ram his head into things and collect little gems and stuff. They ended up trying to make it more, and I just did not care for any of the other Spyro games, but the original one was just so good to me.
Yeah. And also, like, with Rayman and shit like that, also kind of inspired.
Have you played Legend of Dragoon?
I have not.
Okay, so this is Josh's favorite game of all time. And he had me play it 2 years ago. I want to say it was 2 years ago. This game is really good. This game, of course, I really love turn-based kind of RPGs. This is a JRPG that was made for PlayStation. It's really, really good. Overall, like, the story is really, really exciting. I just, in general, am a huge fan of turn-based kind of combat as well. I think it's a dying art that just, like, is not kind of recognized enough and doesn't have enough in the category. Legend of Dragoon excels. There's, I think, 4 discs altogether in the PlayStation version of Legend of Dragoon. The first 2 discs are really, really solid. I will say that the pacing gets a little bit worse as the game goes on, but still has like that kind of ultimate climax that you kind of hope for in a JRPG. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't played Legend of Dragoon, one of your main party dies in the game after being kind of overconfident and trying to take on somebody who is just vastly outclasses him. And it is one of the biggest, like, oh shit moments in any game that just happens. Like, it's really, really well done. And very sentimental. Legend of Dragon, I'm probably going to put right in around here for now. We got Ark Survival Evolved.
Rust with dinosaurs. I love me this game.
Okay. There's a lot of glaring issues that Ark has. All right? I get it. The dinosaurs sometimes act like literal fucking, like, paper mache, like, creatures with, like, little robots inside of them moving them. Yes, it's true. There's way too many dinosaurs in certain parts, but I will say that, along with a couple other things, I guess. Like, they have so many different map DLC things that they just tag on. They are a big culprit of, like, the DLC add-on kind of gaming problem that's going on right now. But I will say that as far as, like, dinosaur games go, and as far as survival games go, this game is so fun. There's nothing that is just, like, unfun about this game. I could play this. Me and Josh used to play this game just, like, all the time. We would hop in our server. We would build a bunch of stuff. We would go tame some dinosaurs. And let me tell you, there's nothing cooler than taming a fucking... Oh, God, what are they called? Karkinos. The giant crab dinosaur creatures. Those things are horrifying. And I'm pretty sure that the way you have to tame them is by hopping on... How we did it is we hopped on, like, the camel dinosaur's back, and we put a turret on the back, like a little catapult, and we would huck rocks at it while it was chasing after us until it knocked it out. So cool. So cool. I've just played too much of this game not to put it on this list. For now, we'll put it in, like, the lower kind of tiers.
I will present a pro that you did not mention, is that you can play, essentially, Ronnie Coleman with dwarfism. More wide than you are tall. One con, though, is that the vanilla taming speed, like, I think some dinosaurs legitimately would take hours to tame.
Yeah, that is true. And you would run the risk of, like, having them wake up, having to kind of, like, sit with them, having... Yeah, the worst part was, like, the taming speeds that were, like, really, really slow. It was always, like, a threat that they would wake up. So you're like, oh, shit, I gotta go get some more narcotics. And so you would, like, run back to your house. You would die along the way. The dinosaur would wake up, and you're like, well, there goes all the effort that I just put into that.
Mm-hmm. It was like, so the narcotics thing was basically made it so that you couldn't sit there and, like, have the game open while you watch YouTube, do, like, homework, work, you know, eat, whatever.
You have to
actively had to pay attention to do nothing.
Yep. I don't see Bullet Witch on this tier list. Freeze. I do have to play it. It's true. Maybe it'll reach the top 40. Who knows? Is this Mass Effect 1? I want to say that this is Mass Effect 1. It has the... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the...
Looks like Old Shepherd.
And there's Mass Effect 2, because I know Mass Effect 2's on here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, so this is Mass Effect 1. All right. Hear me out, chat. Mass Effect 1 is better than Mass Effect 2. I apologize for this because Mass Effect 2 should have been just a better game in general. And for the most part, it does a lot of things way, way better than Mass Effect 1 does. The gameplay is way smoother. The side characters, every single one of them that you have in your party, way more interesting. All of them is really, really good. The one bigger drawback, and I'll do Mass Effect 1 and 2 back to back. The one big drawback of Mass Effect 2 was that the majority of the story is going on loyalty missions, and I didn't mind that. I think there was a lot of really good loyalty missions, but it felt a little bit disjointed when I had, like, story, and then there's, like, a little bit of in-between, and then loyalty missions, story mission, end of the game. It just felt like a little bit of a disjoint because it was supposed to be integrated with the story itself, and it's probably the way I played it. But Mass Effect 1 gives you one of the most triumphant feelings that you have ever had in gaming. Like, you come in as Commander Shepard, and you come out as an absolute hero. Like, and not for nothing, you do the same in the other games, but in 1, it feels like the odds are all just against you, right? Like, it feels like it feels like there's no way that you're going to be able to put this together before the inevitable happens. You feel very hopeless. And the storytelling in Mass Effect 1 is some of just the best. I will say Commander Shepard is the best avatar, kind of like NPC that has ever existed. It's not even close. I can't even think of one that's even comparable.
Revan from KOTOR 1.
Did you say Cook Wars?
KOTOR.
Oh.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, I see.
Darth Revan.
I did not play through that. I do.
Play it.
I did not. I should though. I will say Mass Effect 1's probably here right now. Mass Effect 2 is probably relatively close behind.
I do like the gunplay of Mass Effect 1 more than 2, which, considering like the time gap, should not be a thing. But I do like the gunplay of 1 more.
Yeah. 1 has really cool trees to go down. I love like character trees. That is like one of my favorite things in games for RPGs. Has a really good character tree, and the gunplay, while being more stiff and older, the energy system I liked more. I really liked the energy system for guns, and that's why, yeah. Octopath Traveler. Have you? I don't think you played this game, did you?
I watched one of my friends play it because he was like nerding out about it, and so he just played it on stream.
Octopath Traveler. This was a game made by Square Enix for the Nintendo Switch. This game is a JRPG that follows the story of 8 different character paths, and some of them are really, really boring. And then the other ones are really, really good. The writing is the big hindrance of this game. If it had better writing, it would probably be one of my favorite games of all time. The thing that I love about Octopath Traveler is the artwork, the sprite work, the music, the combat. All of these things are like flawless. They're so good. Like when you get into a fight with like one of the big baddies of this game, the overwhelming presence of their sprite on the opposite side of the screen, you're like, oh fuck. It has some really good battles that you have to kind of think your way through. And it has like a bunch of additional things that you can grind out, a bunch of like higher classes that you can attain for like all your party members, which is really cool. Yeah. I would say Octopath is probably like in around here. In around there. You give your opinion on this next one here, Michael, first. This is it's Rainbow Six Siege.
I love Rainbow Six Siege. It's a great game. If I could get the 2,600 hours I put into the game back, just on PC, not even including console, I would absolutely do it. I would be like, yes, please, give me back a month of my life. But I love the game. It is great.
Yeah, Siege is one of those games that like, yeah, Ubisoft fucking sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you, Ubisoft does suck, and they continually do things that will try to actively bring the game backwards. But over time, I do have to say that I think when I first started playing Rainbow Six Siege, they've done a better job in general of adding certain things that have made a little bit of a quality of life. Mainly with cheaters. Like, the fact that there are not as many... Like, I really rarely run into cheaters anymore, at all. And there's no other game like Rainbow Six Siege. This game has been out for, what, 8 years now?
About, yeah. It came out in 2015.
Oh, really? Oh, shoot. Okay. Yeah, the game has been around for a really, really long time. But there's no other game that plays, like, and gives you the same feeling as Rainbow Six Siege. There's just, like, no substitute. If there was, I'd probably give it a try. But, the feeling of when you hit somebody with a frag grenade and kill them after you cook it, the feeling of tapping somebody's head, the feeling of bonking somebody with a shield, like, there's certain things, or just even, like, the subtle feeling of putting a reinforcement up. I love it. Like, I don't know.
I was capping. It was actually like December of 2015, so almost 2016.
Okay, wow.
I will say I have played this game since closed beta. I have seen it change a lot. I think the game is better now than it was at the start. I don't think it's better now than it was in like at the end of like year 3. I do think they are doing what they have to do to adapt if they want to keep the game alive for a long time,
Yeah.
which growing pains are going to exist. So,
Yeah, it's going to be hard because you change some things. I mean, we see it happen with like a lot of online multiplayer games that are trying to make themselves playable throughout time.
Wow.
League of Legends. Yeah, World of Warcraft. They took ACOG from Iana, now they're taking nades from Iana, but I'll always love it. Yeah, I love this game. I have to have this on my top 40 list. I just play it so often. And I love it. I still love playing this game. I'm kind of struggling where I would put it right now. I'd probably say like right in around here, but we'll see. Vampire the Masquerade's Bloodline. This is another one of Josh's beloved games that he had me play. He was begging me to play this game for the longest time, and I'm not really a massive fan of vampires. I think vampires are actually cooler in ways than like something like werewolves. I do like the kind of political sway that comes along with vampires. Just like the kind of lives that vampire lives or live as a kind of like creature. It's pretty cool. It's intriguing. However, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, it brings it all together and puts it in like an RPG format that is really fun. There are like every single little side character and side interaction, you just always want to get them. You want to like go through every single little story thing. There's plenty of things that I missed in my first playthrough of this game, but they are all very enjoyable. The big drawback, obviously, is that this game is... When did this come out? Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. This game came out in 2004, okay? It's an old-ass game. But that being said, for it being an old-ass game, it's pretty impressive. The combat is extremely janky. There's certain fights that you just kind of get into that you're like, what the fuck is this? Why are the hitboxes so bad? Why do I need to have a machine gun? I'm a fucking vampire. But other than that, like, this game is pretty phenomenal, and it gives you a lot of character dialogue moments that feel like you're actually changing things in the story, which is a big proponent.
Mm-hmm. It's also an adaptation of a TTRPG.
Yes.
So that's part of
hard
why
to do.
It's a little why it's a part like an RPG, but also why it has some jank, because Vampire the Masquerade as a system was designed for like kind of fill the niche of like urban fantasy that didn't really have much there except for like cyberpunk shit.
Yeah.
Also, Vampire the Masquerade, I don't think needed to be a vampire game when it pretty much just offered the authentic New York experience.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it did a really good job of you just like going through the streets and running into like a bunch of like
Crackheads.
Yeah, crackheads, bums, some homeless people, some people who are just like, get the fuck away from me, I just want to get in my car. And you're like, okay. It did a really good job with world building. It's pretty up there. I'll say like it's probably somewhere in here. All right. Dark Souls 2, ladies and gentlemen. This is the only Dark Souls game on the list. This is hard for me because I wanted to put Dark Souls 3 on this list, but it was like in and around 41 or 42 for me. I love Dark Souls as a series. I think that there's no game that like it invented, I would say, an entire era of just this like Souls combat. Everybody just talks about Souls combat, and it's true. There's something very addicting about rolling out of somebody's attack, parrying somebody's attack, and like riposting them. It's fucking awesome. Awesome. Dark Souls 2 is the most widely kind of openly hated Dark Souls game of the three, in the fact that they had, if I remember correctly for this, they had two different, it wasn't the original person that they had in 1 and 3. I can't remember what the guy's name is.
Miyazaki, I think it is.
Yeah. There was two other people that took production lead on this game, and they got really far into the production of Dark Souls 2, and then they decided that they didn't really like the way things were going, so one of them either stepped down or got fired. And then they completely revamped a bunch of things about this game, probably leading to a couple of things that people really, really don't like about this game. There's a lot of things that people, I would probably point out, like mobs. People hate the mobs in this game. A lot of people say that this game, the only reason that it's difficult is because you get mobbed, and I will agree with you. I will not disagree with you. Some of these bosses are extremely easy. It has the most bosses in the series and some of the most kind of forgettable bosses in general in the franchise. But Dark Souls 2 excels better than any other Dark Souls game. Hear me out, because of the lore and the writing. It has the best hub in any of the Dark Souls games. It has really, really just like nice ambient music. It has just like the whole story with Vendrick in general, which I won't get into. The massive big braining that man does in his story, and as you learn it, you're like, oh shit. And that's like, you're like, I'm at the end of the game, right? And you're like, no, you're not at the end of the game. By the way, this is gonna happen. You're like, oh. And then I will say that the DLCs add a lot of like some of the best boss fights and areas in the game in general. So it gets a big kind of kudos to that. But I played Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, and that had everything involved in it, or like included in it. So I kind of I count it with all the DLCs. Like it's all one game to me. Yeah, the feeling of chaos and order that exists in this game is almost incomparable to any other game that I've ever played. Dark Souls 2, while it has very janky combat, some of the changes that people hate the most about the series, I personally really like them.
I always felt like Dark Souls 2, like with its controls, like has like a 200 millisecond input delay with everything, and it pisses me off horrendously. But as for story, I do think it is the best story. I think that some of the bosses in Dark Souls 2 really push the boundaries of the whole like harsh but fair, in the whole sense of like they're usually not fair if they're trying to be hard. Boss runs in that game are almost worse than the bosses, like you said. But I do think it's better than Dark Souls 1, because Dark Souls 1's second half was so incredibly ass, it brought down the experience for me.
I will say there's like a lot of truth in what you say about like certain bosses being difficult just to be difficult, in terms of like, hey, this just seems unfair. One of them being the I can't remember her name, the serpent lady in the Harvest Valley area, where you have to burn the windmill to the ground. And I don't think you get any indicator in that game telling you, hey, burn this windmill down or else there's going to be poison in the pit. It sucks. It is literally like one of the stupidest things ever. And if you have the misfortune of being caught up in that, I kind of caught onto it and learned that I needed to just burn it. But yeah, if you don't know that, you're going to have like literally the worst time in the entire world. Like I remember for Bowtie's run, when he went to that boss, he didn't burn down the windmill, and we all just kind of just died in the poison pit. It was awful. And I'm pretty sure she heals inside of it too. The difference being is that they also do it really, really well. In say like the DLC for instance, the Fume Knight is one of the best bosses in any of the Souls games, and that has a gimmick that I'm not gonna kind of disclose because Bowtie do be listening, but it introduces it to you in the DLC and tells you exactly what you need to do. And you feel rewarded at the end of the day for doing it. So yeah, Dark Souls 2 will always be one of my top games. I'm probably going to put it up for here for now.
Yeah, I agree with the Fume Knight. Side note, fuck the Smelter Demon. All my homies hate the Smelter Demon.
Good old Smelly Demon. That was the first boss that I think we died to in our run. I'm pretty sure, at least. Which is pretty crazy. We had a good run so far. Tomb Raider. This is Angel of Darkness. All right, chat. Chat. I know. I know. This is arguably the one that people would be like, this and Other M would be, people would be like, dude, you are absolutely insane for putting this on your list. I know. Trust me. This game should probably not be here. Everybody hates this game, and for good reason. There's a lot of things that they did in this game that people were just like, what the fuck? One of which being, like, right off the bat when you start playing as Lara Croft, if you go to push objects in some of the first kind of earlier Tomb Raider games, even in some of, like, the mid Tomb Raider games, there's, like, 2-ton blocks that you pull with Lara Croft, and she does it like a champ. This woman is the biggest badass that has ever existed in the entire franchise. In any, like, female franchise. She's so fucking cool. However, in Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, you get to, like, the first little area and you go to push something, and her first things is, like, you go to try to pull it, and she's like, I'm not strong enough to do that. You're like, what? Excuse me? When have we ever seen this happen? But I will say that Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, while it has some of the most janky gameplay and interesting design choices, it has some of the coolest levels in any of the Tomb Raider games. It has really cool NPCs, and it is the epitome of just... Tomb Raider is zany. Tomb Raider is fucking crazy, and when Tomb Raider is crazy, it's at its best. And Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, the entire plot that you go through and story, it's so chaotic and crazy. And I love it. Like, Tomb Raider gets away with whatever it wants to, and then throws historical stuff in and, like, archaeological stuff. And I just adore it. I will say it's probably... Oh, man. It's probably somewhere in this range, but I'm not sure yet.
I will point out that it's been a while since I played it, but I remember that game having, like, so many, like, fucking plot holes, like, inconsistencies. I was like, I don't know about that one.
It is the story behind the Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness game, if I remember correctly, is this was supposed to come out alongside the Tomb Raider movie. And this was Core's last Tomb Raider game. I don't think it originally was going to be, but it got to a point where the studio for the movie kind of were like, you need to bring this game out right now. Like, you need to... They'd been working on it for a while, and they're like, this game needs to come out now. So it was why it was so buggy. And Core was, like, stressed beyond, like, all reason. They're like, hey, as a development team, we have been making these Tomb Raider games. They used to make Tomb Raider. It was like Tomb Raider 1, 1996, Tomb Raider 2, 1997. It was like fucking Call of Duty. These games came out so consistently, and on this game, they finally put a lot of effort into, but it got rushed through. So it ended up having to kind of... I mean, it shows in, like, the actual development of it. And then Core ended up not making a single Tomb Raider game after it, which was very sad. But yeah, I still love it.
Also, side note, I will be playing Xenoblade soon, but I have not played the next 8 games, so my opinion's gonna be limited on this one.
All right, perfect. Well, I guess we'll start off with Pikmin 1 then. Pikmin 1 is one of my favorite, just kind of... Oh, man. The thing that's so interesting about Pikmin is you have games like Little Big Planet, like... games that have, like, massive scales with kind of, like, a cutesy undertone. A lot of games push it way too hard, right? Pikmin doesn't really do that. Pikmin has the perfect balance of, oh, look at these cute little creatures. And then Pikmin 1, the entire basis is, I crash landed on this planet that I have no idea where I am. And it's post-apocalyptic Earth, essentially. And you crash land your little tiny ship, and your parts go flying everywhere. and you have to find your parts within 30 days, or your life support system fails you and you die. That is the basis of Pikmin 1. And you have to use these cute little Pikmin plants as cannon fodder, and as like little just like bullets to throw at things to kill them, to be able to get your parts back. And they do it willingly. These little Pikmin, like essentially slaves, are just like happy to die for you. And yeah, the time management mixed in with like the cute / harsh nature of Pikmin in Pikmin 1 is so fantastic. To this day, it still stresses me right the fuck out. And I'll probably put it like here for now. Pikmin 2. Okay, so let me explain to you the difference between Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2. Pikmin 1 has this harsh reality where you crash land on a planet and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna die here if I don't do something. Pikmin 2 takes place after you return back to your home planet, and it is the goofiest thing that has ever happened in a game. You show up, and you work for like a I can't remember what the company is that you work for, but your boss, once you land down on the planet, he's like, oh, thank God you're back. Where were you? And he's like, I ran into some issues in Pikmin 1, let me tell you. Some horrible little nightmares. And the boss is like, oh, well, it's good that you're back because we're going to have to sell our company. We are in massive debt. And Olimar's like, wait, what? And he drops like one of the treasures that he found along the way in Pikmin 1. And the boss picks it up and he's like, this is going to be our answer to the debt. You need to get back over that planet, pick up as much treasure as you can, and get your ass back over here. And I thought I was going to hate this game, because you have Louis, he's like the bumbleiest fuck that has ever existed in any game. He's like this large, like, the most annoying person that you can possibly think of. And this is your basis for the game. But you land on the planet, and this game has some of the best gameplay, which is exceeded in Pikmin 4, but in Pikmin 2, it is like, oh my god. You have little tunnels that you can go into that stop the time of day. So like you can go into a tunnel and explore the caverns of this tunnel, and sometimes they'll be like 10 subdivisions deep. Like you just keep going down and down and down, and you have a limited amount of Pikmin to do this with. And the design of things in Pikmin 2, the map making in Pikmin 2, and the creatures that they make for Pikmin 2 are all just top tier. They have some of the hardest. This is the most unforgiving Pikmin game that has ever existed, which is why I love it so much. There's a cavern that you go into with 100 Pikmin, and it looks like a construction scene, essentially. And it's really, really dark. And as you're bringing your Pikmin through, bombs drop from the ceiling. And they explode within like a 1.5 second detonation time. So you have to gather your Pikmin to actively avoid these bombs as they're dropping on you. It is so unforgiving and so fun. And just brutal. Pikmin 2 is like somewhere up here for me, I would say. Maybe even in like the top echelon of games. But here we go. Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4. I was worried about this game. I was very worried about this game. Because this is a game that came out in the year of... well, maybe not in the same year, but in like the same time period as Xenoblade Chronicles 3. As Fire Emblem Engage. A lot of these games that I was really, really looking forward to, that I thought were going to be phenomenal, that ended up being very subpar, especially Fire Emblem Engage. Xenoblade 3 was a good game, but it wasn't like up to par with 1 and 2. So I was really worried about Pikmin 4 because they hadn't made a Pikmin game in a really, really long time, and I'd been waiting on this. And it's very, very soft-hearted and silly in the beginning, but as you go in further through the game, that's where it gets so good. It's bogged down a little bit early with like some tutorials and stuff. But as you get further into the game, you have to rescue Captain Olimar, and you get to play basically you get to play Pikmin 1 in Pikmin 4. Because once you save Captain Olimar, he tells you the story and you get to play it. And it's so fucking cool. And not to mention that Ochi, that little dog that you see in the cover there, he is the cutest, best companion that has ever existed in any game ever. I hate animal companions. Let me be the first to say it. Animal companions, for the most part, suck. I liked dog meat. There's quite a few like others that I just really don't care about. But Ochi, like, this man has the best practical use of like any animal companion I've ever seen, and he's such a good boy. Pikmin 4 gets really, really hard into like the later parts of the game. I finally beat it, and it's oh god, it's so phenomenal. I would put Pikmin 4 up here. Xenoblade Chronicles, the first game. This is the first game to start off the massive cult following that is Xenoblade Chronicles that took a really long time to get going, too. Not for nothing. Nobody knew what this game was for a very long time. I didn't know what this game was for a very long time. But it slowly picked up traction, and now it has a third game in the series. And very quickly, too. 2 games on the Switch, which is insane. Xenoblade Chronicles, the story, Shulk is one of the greatest protagonists, specifically in this game, than any other game that I've really played. Shulk is a phenomenal protagonist. Yeah, like, it's hard for me to even put him up against... I mean, you have, like, people like Commander Shepard, which are phenomenal as well. You have, like, the Ikes of the world. But, like, man, I love Shulk's motives. Everything that's happening to him. It has one of the best tropes that I've ever kind of seen in a game, in which, I won't spoil it, but in the very beginning of the game, shit happens real fast, and you feel completely helpless after feeling like you have this tremendous power on your side. And it is... Oh, it's so good. It sets up for one of the best voice acting moments in any game. The story, the music... Some of the side characters, Ryan is the best companion I've ever had in any game. Bar none. It's not even close.
Garrus.
He's better than Garrus. Surprisingly.
I don't know.
Like, this character, he's so fucking lovable. Every single thing that he says, I'm like, dude, you're so based for that. And even when he jumps, he says alley-oop. And I'm like, I love him. I love him. Xenoblade Chronicles is probably up here. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, undoubtedly up in this area as well. We'll sort all these once we get all the games on the list. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2 does everything Xenoblade Chronicles 1 does better. I'm sorry. I know everybody thinks that I'm fucking blowing smoke out of my ass when I say this, but the anime style that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 exceeds everything else in the series. The combat is way, way more interesting. It's the best in the series. The storytelling, the best in the series. The music, best in the series. The companions that you have, not the best in the series. However, there's small little, like, things that happen in the story that people are like, oh man, this is too fan servicey. This is too, I hate this gotcha mechanic. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm glad that you have your opinion.
Based.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
My opinion right, your opinion cringe.
No, I'm happy that they have their own opinion about it. It's just that when people become, like, way too overbearing about it, and they're like, this is why the game literally cannot be good, and your opinion is just not acceptable. And I'm like, listen, you just need to chill. Like, play whatever game that you want. Like, let me enjoy this game. But yeah, and then this game also reinvigorated my, my interest in DLC. Bar none. Like, it has the best DLC I've ever played in any game as well. It's 100% like you need to get it if you're going to play this game. It's just that good. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is the only Mario game on this list. For good reason, too. Mario kind of sucks. Actually, no, sorry, it's not the only one.
Opinion.
Yeah, Mario's terrible, right? Like, Mario has been around for a very long time. People love it. I have never liked 2D scrollers ever. I think Mario is the goofiest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. That being said, Super Mario Galaxy 2 says, hey, we have that first game, Mario Galaxy 1, in which it was a 3D, like, massive, kind of just it had such cool world building. Super Mario Galaxy 1 had all of that, and then Super Mario Galaxy 2 pushed it further. There's no other game that will ever be like Super Mario Galaxy or 2. I think just 2 did a better job in general with how it made things. It's just so fun. This game is exceptionally fun. I'll probably put it on the lower part of the list.
Mario is like the unflavored shaved ice of video games.
And it's one of those things that I understand why it's so big. I understand that like families it was the reason that the Wii was so big. The Wii was so accessible to so many different families and family environments, and Nintendo really flourished off that for a really long time. That's Mario to a T. Mario is just a family game.
In my family, the only game I could get my dad to play with me was Resident Evil games.
It was a different time back then. Everything was 2D side-scrolling. True. And that's fine. I mean, some games did it well, I will say. Like Metroid games, I think did it pretty well. There's some other like franchises that I think accelerated at the 2D side-scrolling and made it a little bit more interesting for me. But I just don't care to hop on Goombas. I mean, the things are cute, and just murdering those little boys, it kind of breaks my heart. Luigi's Mansion should be on this list. It was actually kind of in a broader list. It would be in the top 100. However, Luigi's Mansion's annoying. I'm sorry. I love the concept of the game, and Luigi is way cooler than Mario, like bar none. And the idea of Luigi's Mansion is great. But I was so bad at this game, and it drove me mad. Oh my god, there was so many instances where I'd be like, all right, I'm sucking. And then the ghost would just be like, my controller would go like over here for some reason, and the ghost would just like go, I don't know. It was awful. Game is fun though. Is that Skyward Sword? Next we have Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. This is the sequel to Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I love when games can make sequels work. And Fire Emblem, for some reason, sometimes they can just make it work. Radiant Dawn is... it's so hard for me to not say that it's the best Fire Emblem game in the franchise, because there's so many that are up there. But it takes everything that Path of Radiance did, and they're like, hey... Remember how Ike was just a young boy when this first war happened? Okay, sorry. Let me explain. So Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, you're like a young mercenary, and you there's this mad king who's trying to take over the world essentially, and you never understand his motives. Not even at the end do you really understand why he did the things that he did. The explanation is that he touched the Fire Emblem and he ended up going mad. But you learn all about it in Radiant Dawn, and like Radiant Dawn takes place right after that war, like maybe however long later, maybe like 5 years later, and instead of a mad king, now it's the goddess that exists inside that Fire Emblem. She's waking up after the world promised that there would be no war for, I think, like 1,000 years, and the world did not keep its promise. So she got woken up early, and now she's gonna kill everybody. And you're like, oh, okay. And it doesn't start out like that. You don't understand that that's happening at the beginning of the game. It's like 3/4 of the way through the game that you're like, oh no. It's definitely up here. Here. It's very good. Fire Emblem Fates. Did you ever play Fire Emblem Fates? You said that you've only played 3 houses for Fire Emblem, right?
Yep.
Fire Emblem Fates is one of the most hated games. You'll find that this is a theme in the entire franchise. And for good reason. The writer for Fire Emblem Fates, Awakening, Fire Emblem Heroes, and Fire Emblem Engage, they're all the same person, and she is the worst culprit of just trope abuse. She's awful. Character interactions, like, I will say Fire Emblem Fates has a lot of really nice side characters with good support conversations, but it also has a lot of, like, of the same storytelling elements that are in all these other Fire Emblem games that are really bad. The thing that Fire Emblem Fates excels at is it has, oh boy, other than Fire Emblem Engage, it has the best combat of any Fire Emblem game. It is extremely fun to grind this game. Has four different paths. Or sorry, wait. Birthright, Conquest, and Revelation. It has 3 different paths that you can go through. That you all have like different kind of outcomes and side stories. There's one in which some really bad tragedies happen. It's the one that you think that's not like, you're like, oh, this is the good ending. We're gonna get the good ending here, and a lot of like really good people end up dying. Fire Emblem Fates is beautiful. It has great music. I would say the best music in the franchise, and some really nice character designs, I will say too. I love this game, and I spent an egregious amount of time on it. I would put it somewhere right here, I would think. Fire Emblem Three Houses. Here you go, Michael. Go for it.
This is the first, or one of the first, actually, JRPGs that I've liked. Unpopular opinion here, I don't like Persona 5, or any other Persona games, but I do like this game.
Damn. Did you finish up the Blue Lines route?
I'm like, from what I've gathered, from what people have said, like 3/4 of the way through.
Okay, so you got a little bit yet. Dimitri, is he,
Yeah, he's racist mode now.
Man, Three Houses looked at Fire Emblem Fates and they're like, oh, cool, different paths that you choose. We're gonna do it this time except with good writing. There are so many really good characters in Fire Emblem Three Houses, and the thing that's precious about this game is that it takes all these side characters that are in your party, and they're important to the story. They have anything to do with the story at all. Fire Emblem is the biggest offender of giving you a bunch of characters that just don't matter. But you think that they look cool, and they have certain support conversations that you like. Cool. I don't mind that, but Fire Emblem Three Houses takes it a step further, and they're like, hey, all these people have specific moments in the story and in this world that are gonna matter, and they have relations with one another as well, especially in the Blue Eagles, or sorry, the Blue Line, or the, oh my god, yes, the Blue Lines. It's probably the best put together Fire Emblem game that exists. I'll say it. It probably is the most kind of replayable Fire Emblem game. It's somewhere up here. Tomb Raider Chronicles. Okay. So this Tomb Raider game is in the middle of the franchise. There's 3 different eras of Tomb Raider. There's old school Tomb Raider. There's like the middle era, and then there's the newer games. And we don't talk about the newer games. However, in the middle era, there was a couple of little shining moments, and Tomb Raider Chronicles was definitely one of them. Tomb Raider Chronicles takes place after the last revelation, in which you think that Lara Croft is dead. They were going to kill off Lara Croft and make a new protagonist for the franchise, but they're like, psych, she's actually alive, and we're gonna go through a bunch of different little stories from her past. It has some of the biggest nightmare fuel I've ever seen in any game. Especially that gallows area is fucking horrifying, and it's very fun. I'll probably put it around here, but we'll see.
I like the game. I thought the voice acting wasn't great.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things that, like, a lot of the old school Tomb Raider games just never had good, like, voice acting. Not until Underworld, I think, was the first, I would say. Tomb Raider's really been notorious for very bad voice acting.
Yeah, I feel like their sound design and Tomb Raider in general is like...
Oh, I love it. I fucking
really
love
depends.
it. Well, I will say it gives you, even in the newer, like middle kind of era of Tomb Raider, it gives you like retro vibes no matter what. But the thing that I do love about Tomb Raider sound design is it has probably the best kind of, what would you call it? Just background sounds in general. for like to set up ambience in the area. It does a really, really good job of just setting the scene.
Also, take all of my Tomb Raider opinions with a grain of salt because I know it's not really like a dichotomy, but people seem to like act like it is. I prefer Uncharted.
Ah, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. Darkest Dungeon. I'm sure you played through, yeah?
I have played through, I think like I have 4 or 5 hours in it.
Oh, okay. What do you think about the game?
I like the atmosphere. It's my favorite part about it.
Yep. I think that this game is unforgettable. I think that this game sets up a good standard for like creepy, and man, I just love. There's so many good things about this game. The setup to combat and the way they approach it in Darkest Dungeon is so fun, and it seems so fair in the way it is like completely brutal, but it always gives you another chance to go back in. It's like, hey, these teammates, they're dead. Sorry about that. They just are. You loved them. Sorry about that. Like, there's no turning back time unless you get one of those lucky instances where you can revive somebody within the story that, like, rarely happens. But, like, the combat, the overall design of the game and the way it looks, oh, dude, it's so iconic. And the music, just the dun 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 dun. It's so stressful that you can't put this game down. Yeah, and just the Eldritch horrors in general.
I have a big affinity for like the dark, the gritty, the dare I say edgy, and
Yeah.
pretty much everything I play. In Darkest Dungeon scratches that itch quite well.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree. I put it. Oh man, it's so hard. It's probably somewhere up here or down here. Fire Emblem Echoes. Okay, so this is an adaptation from Fire Emblem Gaiden, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was a remake that was done for the 3DS. And I will say this has some of my favorite artwork that I've seen in any game ever. It's the best in the Fire Emblem franchise in terms of art style. It's beautiful. Just the drawing that they kind of do for this game in general is so beautiful. And I love the story. The two separate kind of approaches to dealing with kind of chaos and war. One of them being, hey, like, I'm just like a young farming boy, and I need to go to war for my country. I need to stop these people from trying to essentially end the world, and make this gigantic dictatorship. And you slowly climb up the ranks. It has like a Fire Emblem Path of Radiance kind of feel to it, with Alm's side, and then you halfway through the story, you find out that your father set up this entire thing for you, and he was the dictator that you end up killing, just to get you to save the world, essentially, because he can't do it. He is like, by oath, he has to like carry out the things that he like needs to, and it sucks. But then you like switch over to the other side after halfway through the story, and you get to Celica, and she has a softer approach, and she's like, what's the goddess's name? I can't remember the goddess's name. Milla. She's like, Milla will provide for us. Like, we just need to be able to get to the temple to have a conversation with her, so we can change the tide of this war, and we can stop people from murdering each other. And yeah, just the relationship between Alm and Celica, like these childhood friends that have like a love interest with one another. Oh my god, dude. I fucking love it. This is one of the best Fire Emblem games. Oh god, it's such a good story.
You kind of described the plot of Bleach. I'm not gonna lie. So if you like that game, you probably will like Bleach.
I need to eventually try to play Bleach sometime.
Well, yeah, it's a long.
Or sorry, not play Bleach. To watch through Bleach, I should say.
Fuck it, I'll do it with you if you do it. It's a great series.
Anime night time. This is Majora's Mask, I think. Or wait, am I looking at? No, Majora's Mask is later. This is Skyward Sword, I think, right here, if I remember correctly. Yep. Skyward Sword. Okay, listen. A lot of people hate this game. They deserve to hate this game. The game is kind of lazy with its map designing, I guess, in the fact that it makes you revisit areas all the time to actually play through the story. Zelda never did that, ever before. This is something that's kind of brand new to the franchise that Skyward Sword introduced. The flying mechanic sucks ass. The sky itself is extremely uninteresting, which was one of the biggest marketing points for this game. However, this game has Groose, okay? And Groose is the best NPC that exists in Zelda, bar none. He's just... The Groose is fucking loose, bro. It has amazing music. The boss fights are... I'm going to say 60-40. 60, some of the best boss fights in any Zelda game. 40, some of the worst boss fights in any Zelda game. But it still maintains a really cool story. What's his face? Demise. Like, that final boss is dope. Really, really dope. If that man just manhandles you a bunch of times. Like, just tosses you off to the ground. It is very cool. I think the only boss fights that in Zelda that beat it out are Twilight Princess and, yeah. Twilight Princess and maybe Wind Waker. Maybe. Wind Waker, not so much the boss fight, but how the boss fight ends is very cool. Skyward Sword's probably down around here.
I'm gonna be a bit of a downer here. Skyward Sword is the most mid Legend of Zelda game.
Yeah, a lot of people do think that.
It's not bad, but it's also not great. I can think of a lot worse Zelda games. Like, I think Four Swords is ass, and same with Minish Cap. But I just think it's kind of mid.
It's understandable. I think that it has a lot of bad things about it, and I think the stamina system was a pretty bad culprit of just, like, it doesn't work in this game. But I think for the most part, I just love everything else about it so much that it kind of overshadows it. League of Legends. League of Legends.
That's all you have to say.
It has to be on this list. It has to be. I've put in more hours into this game than I have in any other game ever, bar none, ever. Like, hold on, let me see how much time. Even like the how much time have I wasted on League website? It doesn't get it right. Like, it's thousands of hours above this. Hold on. How many hours have I wasted on League? Let's check it out, chat. This website is not correct, but it'll give me a little bit of an estimate. Come on, load, you son of a bitch. Why is there a Gnar cosplay? What is going on at the top of my screen? There's like a Jessica, whatever her name is. Load, damn you. Either way, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of damn time. Someday it'll load. Of course it's there. It has to be. I mean, I've met so many people through League of Legends. It's the reason that I know Josh, as well as I know Josh, at least. It's the reason I'm friends with Josh, because I met him in college, and we didn't really talk. But then I met him on League, and we became, like, literally just best friends. And that has lasted ever since. It has the worst community of any game, but it has some of the most cancerous gameplay that makes you always want to come back for more. It just does. And it's, you know, it can't not just be on my list. It's somewhere in here. I'll put it there for now.
League is like one of those games where you'll get absolutely fucking kicked in the nuts just repeatedly. Like, you know, it'll never fucking stop. you'll just get kicked in the nuts. But you want to like get to that point where you don't get kicked in the nuts, despite knowing that that'll never happen.
It's yeah, you just keep coming back for more, and you don't really know why. You're like, this is painful, but I can't stop. Like, I'm terrible at this game, but I'm enjoying myself somehow. Arcane is great. Yeah, I will say, because of League of Legends, there spawned so many just really cool things like Arcane. Like the cinematic kind of teasers that League of Legends does. Riot's art team is like bar none just like one of the best. They're really good.
Music team too.
Yeah, music team as well, for sure. Pentakill, KDA.
In terms of lore, I think they have some like the coolest ideas. They also have some like the lamest, but they do have really cool ideas.
Yeah, it's true. It's lying to me, dude. I've spent more than 1,368 hours in this game. I am sorry. This site just lies. I've spent at least, I would say, 10,000 hours in League of Legends.
That's
It's kind of
unhealthy.
ridiculous. It's vastly unhealthy. League is one of the best ever. Not one game is the same because of the different champs. Community is both is booty crumbs. Yeah, that is the big drawback, right? Is the League of Legends community is just you just like, there's a reason that mute all is a thing, right? Like, also, how's it going, Cameron? Kingdom Hearts 2. Have you ever played Kingdom Hearts 2?
If I have, I don't remember it very well.
That's understandable. Kingdom Hearts 2 is there's Kingdom Hearts 1, which is a very fun game. Kingdom Hearts 2 takes everything about like the Kingdom Hearts series and makes it bloom. This is where everything just comes to fruition in this timeline, at least, with like Sora. It has like a bunch of different like little side stories that you go through for other characters, and it ties everything in. Has some of the coolest boss fights. Sephiroth from this game is one of the best boss fights in any game. It's just, I spent so many hours grinding this out because I was like par for the level to actually fight him, but I still had such difficulty trying to fight fucking Sephiroth. And it's like a side optional boss. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2 is pretty unforgettable. It's probably around here. The X-Plot.
If you want to see something funny, chat, go to the villains wiki and then see how many crimes they have said Sephiroth has committed and his powers.
Sephiroth has the ability to make you love him.
It goes attempted omnicide, attempted universal domination, treason, mass arson, terrorism.
Wind Waker. Have you played through Wind Waker?
I have, yes.
What do you think of Wind Waker?
I think it's very cute.
Yeah.
I generally like the art style. Wind Waker, I think, has, in terms of puzzles, some of the most well thought out and some of the most annoying the entire Legend of Zelda series.
I love this game because it feels like you're in an open world that's on rails. And every single place that you visit, for me at least, I was like, man, I gotta visit every single one of these islands. Some of them are like, they're okay. And then some of them are like, oh shit, okay, this is like some crazy like dungeon puzzle stuff that I have to go through. I love the art style, and I don't think it breaks up what Zelda is supposed to kind of be about. I think it lends to it rather than taking from it. There's just the NPCs in this game are great. I love the little side missions that you do for them. It very much so reminds me of Majora's Mask in that regard. Yeah, man, I love this game. Even the Triforce Hunt. People hate the Triforce Hunt. I love it. I just love hitting that open sea and being terrified about coming across the either like Windgale brothers there, or the giant fucking 18-eyed squids that exist. That was the first game I saw you with a stream without a shirt on, losing your absolute mind. Yeah, I used to stream without my shirt all the time. It's true.
It's I think it's the coziest Legend of Zelda.
Is my second favorite Zelda game of all time, so it's pretty up there for me here. It's somewhere in these areas here. We'll find out.
My favorite is probably Twilight Princess and then Majora's Mask.
Twilight Princess has a great aesthetic. And
It was
I
the first
love.
one I played.
The thing I liked about Twilight Princess is that you could use your gadgets. They had a lot of practical purposes outside the actual dungeon, which was very rare for Zelda up until that point. And it has a lot of really good characters too. Midna is extremely lovable. Ganondorf is the coolest in that game. It's not even fucking close. Like that end fight with Ganondorf, where you think that you beat him when he's in Beast Ganon mode, and then like Midna kind of like sacks herself to kill him, and then you wake up in a field, bro, and Ganon is on his horse and he's holding Midna's crown in his hand and he crushes it. That is the coolest shit. Oh god, that ending fight with Ganon. I wish that the game was up on this list just because of that, but oh man.
Also, the Air Temple, like, Mad Shadow of the Colossus vibes, very cool.
Oh, yeah. For sure, for sure. MVJ Base. YouTube just recommended me this stream. You have good taste. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. There's definitely some choices on this list that I think people would probably attempt to sue me over, but, well, I appreciate it. I very much so appreciate it.
Why isn't it up on
the
the list?
There's just so many games here that I liked just a little bit more, I think. I'm assuming League doesn't count for this list, because we know it's number 1. All right, let's cool our jets
It's
here.
currently number 40.
It's 3 Fire Emblems in the top 10, nice. Yeah, I'm a huge Fire Emblem. It's my favorite franchise, for sure. Oh, I love it. Okami. Have you ever played this game?
I don't believe so.
This game, I think, was for the Wii. Yeah, it was for the Wii. You are a wolf spirit. I'm pretty sure like a wolf spirit god who is trying to set the world straight against like an ancient evil. And it's so cool. You fight things with your brush, which you like pause time and then you draw things with your brush over characters to like kill them, and it's so cool. And it like that sounds really easy, right? It sounds like, oh yeah, I just like pause the screen and then I like draw something over a character and they're dead. And you're like, no, it doesn't really work like that though. It's really hard in certain instances. Okami is extremely unique. It's probably around here. I played the first 10 minutes and they wouldn't stop talking. That is the thing with a lot of Nintendo games in general, is they do a lot of front-loaded talking and tutorials in the beginning. Like, they're notorious for it. But yeah. R6 is on there, but no League. 10 years of for nothing. No, League is here. League, Rainbow Six Siege. We even got Rogue here somewhere. Outlast. I know you played Outlast.
I have. I don't know why it's here.
Really? Oh, wow. You don't like Outlast?
I think it's unique. I played like so many horror games where Outlast, like, I played it, like, horror games are like meant to like make you feel things.
Yep.
I was more interested in like how it played than I felt like emotions for it.
No, I get that. I think that Outlast, though, did a trope of making you feel helpless in a horror game well. because a lot of the times in horror games you're like, man, like the thrill of it is being chased, right? And like not knowing what happens to you once you get caught. But even when you get caught in Outlast, you're like, fuck, oh my god, okay, one more time. Like, this game scared the piss out of me when I first played it, and I was so interested in the actual storytelling of Outlast that it like made a perfect synthesis of horror and game like story. Outlast is overrated, Lamal JK. Outlast 2 is one of the worst games that's ever existed, but I think Outlast 1 is really good. I think it's the best, well, I shouldn't say the best horror game that exists. I think that, what can I think of it? Dead Space. I think that the Dead Space, like Dead Space 1 and 2, are some of the best horror games as well. I just didn't enjoy them as much as Outlast. I would say it's probably in around here. It's down somewhere on the list here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna rearrange all these once I put them all on the list.
Have you ever played the Silent Hill games?
I've played. Oh no, I've only watched a couple of the Silent Hill games be played. I never got to experience them for myself.
I think Pyramid Head's like one of the best examples of like being chased and like just being mentally fucked.
What was the other? What was it? Shattered Memories? Or was it Broken Memories? Shattered Memories? Silent Hill? I watched somebody play through that, which was pretty cool, and it seemed very anxiety driven. It seemed like something I did not want to play because it was gonna make me fucking cry.
Yeah, I remember. I think I remember that coming out. That's the one with where it came out on PlayStation and the Wii, right?
Yes, I think so. Yep.
Yeah, I think the best one for Silent Hill is like 2. So if you want to play one, I'd recommend 2.
Yeah, I should play one of those games sometime. I like very rarely play through horror games, but it's mostly because I just don't like the genre for the most part, in the fact that like, I don't know. I feel like horror as a genre just tries to get the cheap thrill out of you a lot of the time, and it's not as much about like an actual game or story writing. It's more like, hey, here's some fucked up things you're gonna see, and also you're gonna be scared to shit. And I'm like, that's cool, but it also at the same time, I want a little bit more out of a game.
I think it's also just because like part of fear for a lot of people is like not understanding what's going on. So if you make the lore very understandable and very like, oh yeah, that makes sense, it kind of takes them out of it.
I think the first couple Fear games did a good job at making you. It was one of those ones that you could kind of defend yourself, but you also knew that you couldn't. I don't know.
I couldn't play the Fear games like legitimately until I was 15 because I couldn't get past the fucking boot screen. Like, I don't want to play this. They are great though. It was just from like a fear thing, not like I don't want to play this game.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly understood. I mean, they scared the shit out of me until like Fear 3. List is scuffed, no Shrek. Bro, okay, Shrek the Third is still my most watched video on this entire channel. Guys, can you please change that? Please, for the love of God. Just
March Dungeons episode 1, please.
Yeah, everybody go watch Mart's Dungeon episode 1. If you guys haven't watched Mart's Dungeon, start watching Mart's Dungeon, because watching that tabletop RPG and excelling it to beyond Shrek the Third is my life's dream. We got Final Fantasy X. This is the only Final Fantasy game on the list, and so it's really, really good. Like I said, I really like turn-based combat for JRPGs, and Final Fantasy X does a phenomenal job at it. It has a cast of extremely lovable characters. I love Wakka. I love Auron. I even actually like the main character. I'm sorry. I just do. I know his voice can be grating, and a lot of people always say that Tidus is a crybaby. I don't think he's that bad. I've seen much worse Fire Emblem Engage. But yeah, I love Final Fantasy X and its writing, its gameplay. Blitzball is super fun. It created like an entire like water soccer sport that you get to play that's actually just really dope. Yeah, it's really good. I would say it's probably it's in the 21 or maybe it's somewhere here.
I love when he said, "That's it, Sephiroth. This is your Final Fantasy X."
He went ha 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 ha. Hashtag eat pants. I greatly enjoyed that game. It's very good. I cried like a baby at the end of the game when he goes to like high five his father. It has one of the best lines in any game too. When you finally face off against your father, and Titus like simply just says to his father, "I hate you," and it's the way he says it, and the way his father responds is, "I know." Like, it's so good because at the end of the game, he never forgives his father. I don't know. He does forgive his father, but he holds him accountable to the very end. I don't think I've ever known anyone to have made it through that game without crying. It was at the very end of that game. I bawled my fucking eyes out. Pharaoh. Pharaoh is an old, I want to say 2000. It came out in 2000, I think, by Sierra. This is one of those city building games, but it takes place in Egypt, and you get to go through all the eras of Egypt and build for a bunch of pyramids and monuments for pharaohs, build civilizations. People die from plagues. There's warring kingdoms that claim war on you. The gods, you have to appease them. It is a really, really good time management game that, man, yeah, like you have to deal with fires, crime. Like, Pharaoh is so fun, especially because I love this kind of like Egyptian era of culture. It's very, very interesting. And I think Pharaoh did a great job. It's somewhere on the list.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I know Sierra makes pretty good games, though, because I believe they made Fallout 1 and 2.
Oh, did Sierra make those?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope. I still have to play through 1 and 2. Because people actually highly recommend it, because it's like a vastly different Fallout experience, which I'm down for. I didn't cry, but I don't have a heart. Jersey, you strike me as the type of person to cry at like a movie like The Blind Side.
No, it was Interplay. My bad. I remember seeing Sierra before, though. I'll have to figure that out.
Oh man. Pokemon Coliseum. I'll just say this is my favorite Pokemon game. It's hard for me to rate a Pokemon game in like the top 40 because Pokemon is just so, man. Pokemon is just Pokemon, and I don't think I need to explain it further than that. And the fact that there's a lot of really cool creativity in Pokemon, but there's also some of like the laziest like creations in Pokemon. Some of like the happiest go luckiest characters that are like, I want to be your friend no matter what, and you're like, stop, I don't want you to be my friend. I want you to beat me. I want you to beat the shit out of me, please. But Pokemon Coliseum has a mix of really good combat in a 3D kind of realm, a really cool story it's like a little bit edgier, which I definitely loved as a kid. And I could grind this game as a kid for so long. It's down in the lower region though, somewhere.
I have fond memories of my brother always like begging me to play with him, just so he could beat me. And I think it was like that battle mode or whatever.
Sorry. In Pokemon Coliseum.
Yeah, I think it was they had like a battle mode that you could play with 2 people, and they like just put you straight in there.
I don't remember if they had that in Pokemon Coliseum or if it was a different game. Because I remember they had the mountain that you had to go up. It was like the top 100 trainer mountain that you had to climb as like a side thing in Pokemon Coliseum, which was pretty dope.
Mm-hmm. It could have been XD, but I know it was a 3D one.
Rogue Company. Yeah, you go ahead.
I think that this game does things pretty well in terms of as a shooter. I think that its aesthetics, like I've talked before about how edgy and kind of gritty games are my thing. Rogue Company is not that. In the same vein, I don't like the Saints Row games. Kind of applies to this.
Yeah, I can understand. It is very Saints Row like in terms of like what the characters look like and how they move and act, even in a way. But I think that Rogue Company is very fun. It feels very, very satisfying. For whatever reason, in Rogue Company, I can snipe. Like I can actually use sniper rifles in Rogue Company, and that feels nice. There's certain like things in combat that feel really, really good. I actually think all the characters' abilities are very well balanced, which is a hard thing to do in games. And I just really enjoy it. But I put it down somewhere. Majora's Mask, it's in the top 10. It's easy. It's very much so in the top 10. Majora's Mask is, I've talked about it in and out 100,000 times. It is the darkest Legend of Zelda game that exists without having to try. It just sets up that narrative. It doesn't try. Like, the thing with Twilight Princess is I feel like it tries a little bit harder to kind of push that narrative forward. Majora's Mask is just creepy and eerie in the sense that everybody has to come to terms with death in their own way. And you have to experience that in the lives of each and every single one of these NPCs. And having the NPCs be that important in a game is so mind-boggling and so unique to Majora's Mask. There's never a dull moment in this game. I am always enthralled, and I always learn about new interactions in Majora's Mask to this day. I've played through this game hundreds of times, and still to this day I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't know that this person, you can find them in this specific area and will have like this specific dialogue and thing to say about this quest that you did. Like it's so well thought through, and for it to be like a rushed game on top of it, it just gets major points. Like Majora's Mask is incredible.
I agree. It's very creepy, very almost introspective. I think it probably taught a lot of kids like some of the first steps in grief.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if little kids exactly prepared for that. I wasn't. But overall, I'd say, yeah, in terms of like plot and in terms of like message of a Zelda game, I think it's probably number one.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd rather play that than Skyward Sword. I agree. Yeah, and even at the end, when you have like the happy credits going on in the background, and you see like all the people that you helped along the way, you see like the marriage flourish, you see like the dancers dancing happily after you helped them. But at the very end of the game, when it gets to the end of the credits and it kind of wanes back to the forest that you first went through, in the tutorial, and you come across that petrified Deku shrub, and then you see the butler leaning down, you're like, that's the fucking butler's son. And it's like, not everybody gets to have a happy ending, despite you saving the world. And you're like, wow, I get chills. I have chills right now just thinking about it. Like, it's phenomenal.
Also, whoever decided to make the moon look like that, 10-year-old me and you have beef. They will fight.
Last on the list here, before we sort everything out and give you like the true list of things, Tomb Raider 3. It is the best Tomb Raider game in the franchise. I'll explain. Tomb Raider 3 has the best puzzles in any of the Tomb Raider games, which I think good Tomb Raider games always have good puzzles. Tomb Raider 3 also has the zaniest fucking plot ever. You go to Area 51, you get to deal with aliens. There's like, the plot is like all over the place, and I love it. It has some of the most kind of memorable areas too. Aldovich, which is the hardest level that exists in any. Let me think. It is probably the hardest level in any game I've ever played, ever. It's so hard to navigate. And you feel very rewarded at the end of the day when you finally beat the level and you're like, wow. Like, that was so fucking hard, but it felt so worth it. I want to play back through the Tomb Raider series specifically for this game. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's probably like up in this range. But now I get to sort everything. Did you play Tomb Raider 3, Michael?
I believe I got it on the Wii. Yeah. Let me double check. See if I recognize the levels.
I was gonna say Tomb Raider 3 is pretty old. It's a pretty ancient one.
They would like put like a bunch of like retro games. On
That's
the
true. That is true. They had like the what they call it, the virtual shop.
Wii. Yeah.
All right. One of my favorite games to watch you play was the Tomb Raider series. Dude, I don't think I've screamed more in a game. I don't think I've been scared more in a game either. And I don't get as much fulfillment in games nowadays that I used to get in the Tomb Raider games, the early Tomb Raider games. My God, everything was so well thought through. Yeah, I don't know. I would get stuck in a level for like hours. And like on principle, not look up a walkthrough because I'm like, I'm fucking doing this myself. Yeah, Tomb Raider gives you all that.
Unfortunately, I did not play it. I played 1 and 2.
Got you. Pikmin and Tomb Raider are some of my favorite games for sure. Hey, you should pick up Pikmin 4, Druzy. Please do it. It's so good, and your kids would love it too. All right. So to even out the lists here, I gotta get one. We'll do the bottom part first, which is 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. So we gotta get 10 in the bottom here. And then where would I? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One of them needs to go up to the next tier list, and I think of any of them, it would be Tomb Raider 2 would go up here. If I have to rank these in terms of order, just kidding. Pokemon Coliseum, Sonic Heroes.
I don't know how you can rank Outlast higher than Spyro, bro.
Outlast is really good. I love. Yeah, I don't know. It's a classic for me as well. And getting to do blindfolded runs with Narcos, because Narcos speed ran this game all the time. So he would do blindfolded runs where I would be in Discord with him and tell him where to run and grab things as he was running through the game. It was so good. It was so much fun. Probably... It's probably like that for the 31 through 40. All right, and then one has to go up to the next level for this one. There's a lot of good games in here. Damn, bro. There's a lot of good games in here. Probably... Ooh.
I vote Vampire the Masquerade, but that's just because that's one of the first streams I tuned in with.
Man. Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade was really good. Pharaoh is definitely up there. Final Fantasy X as well. I'm going to say Final Fantasy X. I'm going to say, in terms of ranking, this one here, Tomb Raider 2 probably at the bottom there is fine. Then probably Okami is actually fine. That's... Legend of Dragoon is probably actually right here. This is up higher. I'd say like that. That's probably where I would rank all those games. And then next we have our second tier. This is where I might pull from the top and bring to the bottom, vice versa, the bottom to the top. Let's see. Wind Waker has to be up there, probably, I would think. All right, that's probably good. I'm going to say... Pikmin 1, Fates. Echoes is better than Fates. Pikmin 2... Probably... Oh, man, Pikmin 2 actually needs to be up there. Fuck. See, this is the hard part, where I have to pull from, like, the really, like, the cream of the crop.
Is it like choosing between children?
Yeah, no, definitely. Don't hurt me more, please. I feel like our time together was nothing. Did you ever play the Sly Cooper games, Keen? No, I never played through Sly Cooper. Nope. Never owned them. Damn, bro. What would I even put down? Yep, I know that's a big... Man, it's hard for me to put Wind Waker down into not the top 10, but damn. There's just too many good games up there. So it's probably... Octopath. Birth by Sleep is up here. Yeah, probably... That's probably it for 11 through 20. Wind Waker, Echoes, Birth by Sleep, Mass Effect 2, Fates, Darkest Dungeon, Pikmin 1, Final Fantasy X, Octopath, and then Siege. And then for the top games here, for the top games of all time, how are we going to rank them? Oh boy. Let's go from worst to best. Oh, man. Let's see, right there. No,
Thank you.
probably
I was
right
about
there.
to point out that Dark Souls 2 being that high was incredibly racist. But...
Mass Effect 1. Oh, man. Probably right there. And then... This one's tough. I would say this is it. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is just definitively it will ever just for the longest time it was Majora's Mask was my favorite game. And once I played through Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I was like, I think this might be my favorite game, but I have to think about it. I didn't want that new game kind of just like the new game effect to affect my way that I kind of viewed my favorite games. But as time has passed, this game I think came out in 2017, so I've had like 6 years to kind of think about it. The story in general is so romanticized, and the fact that like it blends in a little bit of anime into like the storytelling. And just like the characters, especially like the villains in this game, oh god, they have great stories. And once you get to chapter like 9 and 10, it is peak gameplay. I've never played a game that gives me the chills going down my back like it does in chapter 9 and 10 of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And like I said, the DLC for this game, which is like maybe like 20 hours long, is like a story in itself that is just tagged right in alongside Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that brings everything together and breaks your fucking heart in two. Repairs it and then breaks it again, because you know where everything's going. Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is just bar none the best game I've ever played. Actually, I'm going to say probably it's like this as well. Fire Emblem Three Houses is probably above the first Xenoblade Chronicles.
3 houses at 3 makes sense.
But yeah, that's the tier list there. We have, if you guys are interested, I will say, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit that sub button. We stream on the daily. We have a tabletop RPG, which is my main bread and butter, which Michael, who's in voice chat with me, is also in. He plays a character, a very, very funny man.
True.
We do that every single Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you tune into those live streams because the story is getting real spicy right now. But yeah, if you ever want to catch either that or any of our gameplay streams, where's COD? You know what? There are some really good COD games. There are. There's
Advanced Warfare.
There's some really good Call of Duty campaigns. Like even like Cold War's campaign with what's his face, Adler. That was Cold War, right? I'm pretty sure that was Cold War. I'm not 100% sure, but they had some really good campaigns. But yeah, Call of Duty in general was never like my forte. Yeah. More stream and gaming after, yes. So I'm going to probably play a couple of games offline with Michael or whoever else wants to join. And then at 9 p.m., I have a cast for League of Legends. So we're going to be casting some games. I got to rejuvenate my voice so I can scream at the top of my lungs. Number one game is still House Party. Let's go. I've never played through that game. Yeah. I've never touched. I've seen people play through it, and I'm like, I don't think I want to stream this. But you are right. The characters are very funny. Oh, yay. But yeah, I appreciate you guys all watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit that sub button. Also, catch all the shorts that we have coming out at 8 in the morning every day. And our sponsor, Starforge PCs. Make sure to get yourself a Starforge PC today. Nightbot's been dropping the link, just a little droplet right into the chat. Make sure to hop over to that link and get yourself a real goddamn PC. And yeah, I will see you all in an hour with some League of Legends casting. Have yourselves a lovely rest of the evening. As always, my friends, stay beautiful. Peace.